it's Miley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, July 18th. So as you may already know, we had the new moon in Cancer peak late yesterday afternoon. And then towards the end of the day, we did see that moon in Cancer go void, of course, as she prepared to leave her place of power, to leave her comfort zone and move into Leo energy. So we have the moon locking into this Leo energy 40 minutes past midnight, again, Eastern Standard Time. And when we kind of shift out of the Cancer energy into the Leo energy, we definitely feel lighter, brighter, more optimistic, more confident. However, some of the aspects here today are really going to kind of put a damper, if you will, on the pride of the lion, on the boldness, the bravery, the courage that we normally get, on our creative expression, on being able to actually communicate, articulate, and get a couple of things off of our chest. Now, it's a semi-quiet day in the cosmos. There's only 7 different aspects taking place. 5 of them are going to involve the moon, but I also want you to keep in mind that post-lunar hangovers are a thing. Where we had such a significant new moon in Cancer, accompanied by the nodal shift, we are definitely going to need a couple of days to adjust, to fully acclimate to these new energies. So with some of the aspects that are kind of on the more tougher side of things here today, we are really going to be emotionally and mentally processing a lot of the things that got triggered and activated over the last couple of days as we put forth a new energy and effort to leave things behind and, of course, open up the door to new beginnings, to new chapters that, of course, are going to organically and naturally start unfolding the more time we actually get to spend here in this new nodal energy shift, which, of course, is the Aries and Libran energy. So, with 5 different aspects here today involving the moon, we're definitely going to have a lot of heart activations. I'm going to recommend that you listen to the ascension forecast for this week if you haven't already, so that you get a rundown on the physical symptoms that many of us are going to be experiencing with the ever-changing energy. Now, the moon still in Cancer energy. Void, of course, right before we actually lock into this Leo energy, 10 minutes prior to, if we're getting technical, the moon is going to square off with the North Node, the true node, if you will. And the North Node is now in Aries energy. So this is kind of like the first interaction that we are having with this new Aries and Libran axis. So a square is a boxing ring. We have to go in, we have to fight it out. We are illuminated to conflict, to tension. And because the moon is at pretty much her weakest point as she kind of nears the end of that Cancer energy, as she's giving up her place of power to move into Leo energy, there's a lot of vulnerability there. There's a lot of rawness there. There's a lot of insecurities. There's a lot of doubts. There's a lot of fears because we are essentially entering into a brand new realm of reality that seems very foreign to us. We don't know what to expect. Things aren't going to be as familiar as they have been. And so a lot of the new moon in Cancer energies were about where it is that we have to be bold and brave and courageous enough to kind of let the past go, to let our attachments go, to recognize where it is that we have to stop living in the cyclic nature of allowing our ego to react to life, especially where triggers and activations are concerned, in order for us to release all of that control, all of that power that has kept us in these very trauma bond-like cycles so that we can grow up, we can start acting as the observer and responding from our higher selves. So this square, we're getting into the boxing ring and there's a lot of confusion. We're in a new energy. This is a new landscape. We don't know what we're feeling. We don't know what we're thinking. We're really just kind of learning to go with the flow, and the flow seems pretty choppy here at this present moment. So we're really questioning what lays ahead of us. We're really questioning what step we should take, what direction we should move in, where it is that we need to orient our thoughts and our emotions from here. Now, this square is going to illuminate all of this vulnerability, all of this insecurity, all of this unfamiliar territory, and all of the feelings and attachments that come along with it. Is it going to feel good? No. Is it necessary? 100%. We do need a little bit of time to be patient to get the lay of the land. Then the moon moves into this Leo energy 10 minutes later. And then about an hour and a half later, we have the moon now in Leo energy, making a positive interaction with Saturn, the Lord of Karma, who is retrograde in Pisces energy. So this is going to bring us down into the heart space. It is going to bring a new optimistic, confident point of view. However, we are doing so not from biting off more than we can chew, not conjuring up a bigger dream than we can actually accomplish, because Saturn is here and he gives us a little bit of a reality check. Now, Saturn being retrograde, we're reflecting, we're reviewing, we're reworking a couple of things, especially where our belief system is concerned, where our dreams, our visions, our goals are concerned, and recognizing where it is that old chapters are closing, and with that, roles and responsibilities that we've outgrown are ending in order for us to start something new. We are essentially already in this new karmic chapter, but emotionally and mentally speaking, we still have a lot to process on what it is that we are leaving behind, what it is that we are shifting, what it is that we are closing the door on, and of course, what it is now that we have to get to work on building in order to get us from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. The moon in Leo energy is going to make a positive interaction with Uranus. Uranus is the great awakener who is in this Taurus energy. What I like about this is that Uranus brings a lot of sporadic change, an epiphany of sorts, an aha moment of sorts, a shifting of perspective and understanding. And especially where in this Taurus energy, we have been very focused on our physical realms, on our physical bodies, on, routines and relationships and money matters, all of the things that really make up the system, the foundation, the structure of our physical realm. And as Uranus has been moving through this Taurus energy, we have really been illuminated to where it is that we're having a hard time breaking away from what it is that we've already created in order to open ourselves up to the possibilities of the new. And so with this shift, it is opening up our heart space. It is shifting our perspective. It is showing us where it is that maybe outdated systems, outdated foundations, old ways of communicating and expressing ourselves, all of these old patterns and behaviors, where it is that they're no longer feeling in alignment with the new version of ourselves that we either are or are looking to create. And therefore, there is a lot going on in our inner realm where change is concerned. We're recognizing where it is that we need to boss up. We're recognizing where it is that we have a want, need, and desire to kind of push the boundaries of our comfort zone and see what is possible for us when we truly align with our heart space. So here's where things get a little bit tricky, a little bit funky. Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger, who is now in Virgo energy, really helping us to identify what is broken, what needs our attention, what needs a little bit more TLC, if you will. We're looking to heal. We're looking to solve a lot of the dysfunction, a lot of the craziness, a lot of the chaos in our lives. Mars is going to interact with Chiron, the wounded healer. And Chiron's in Aries energy, really helping us to kind of move through this, let's call it rebranding process, this identity shift, if you will. But what we're getting here is a tension-filled aspect, which is going to illuminate a lot of the not so nice qualities and characteristics that comes on both with Mars and Virgo, which is overanalyzing, highly judgmental, highly critical, especially of oneself, very focused on the details, almost obsessed, if you will, of trying to make things right and trying to get things right the first time. And of course, the shadow side of Chiron being in Aries energy is that we're a little bit hot to trot. We're a little bit edgy, restless. There's a lot of impulse control there. We're very easily triggered. And so the potential, I would say, that comes out of this, good, bad, or otherwise, is that, first of all, it's going to really put a different vibe on the funk that we've been in and that we're trying to break free from. This means that we are easily triggered. We are easily activated. We might be very raw, very real, very vulnerable. So very easily to be offended by other people, by other people's attention or lack thereof. Either way, we're getting to a very real, raw, vulnerable place within ourselves, and it doesn't feel good. It feels like, anything could set us off, like we don't know what to do with our energy. We have a problem actually asserting ourselves into action, into making moves. We're not feeling as confident as, of course, the moon in Leo typically has us feeling. And therefore, it can lead to some very tense interactions. We could actually be creating some obstacles and challenges for ourselves that necessarily don't need to be there just because we're a little bit standoffish, if you will. But overall, even if it does kind of lead us on a path where we're having a little bit of conflict or confrontation with other people, it will eventually lead to the clearing of the space, the clearing of the energy, the clearing up of the misunderstandings, a reconciliation of sorts that will actually put us in a stronger position, a stronger bond with other people after the mess needs to be cleaned up. So just be very, I'm going to say, careful with your energy, careful with your words, careful with your actions, careful with your ability or inability to correctly articulate your emotions and express them thoroughly. We will see a little bit of a power struggle with our anger issues or our frustration issues or our irritation at this time. Just be very cautiously aware of how this energy is manifesting in your body and in your physical realm. So shortly thereafter, the moon in Leo energy is going to interact with this Mars in Virgo energy and try to kind of resolve a couple of things. First of all, get us to the heart and soul of the matter. Really show us where it is that we have to kind of flip the script. And instead of kind of tearing ourselves down and bringing everybody around us down with us, we have an opportunity to flip the script, to really examine that narrative and to kind of change things around so that we're motivated, we're determined, we're inspired to push through, to actually examine where it is that we have more power and control over the energy being manifested than what it is that we thought we'd had. And so out of this energy, this is kind of where we recognize the problem, because it's going to be very evident where the problems are, feeling that funk. And in the Virgo energy that Mars is in, we're here to solve it. We're here to resolve it. We're here to get down to the deep and dirty truth of the matter in order for us to flip the script and actually have something more supportive and encouraging, pushing us to do better and to improve. The moon will then interact with Saturn, again, the Lord of Karma, and this is likely going to be a situation that illuminates a choice point or a decision point, if you will. Now, keep in mind that when Saturn kind of enters into the chat and is in a not so nice, not so supporting or encouraging aspect, we tend to kind of feel the weight, the heaviness on our shoulders, on our heart space, mostly because he brings in a certain dose of reality, if you will. He wants us to grow. He wants us to boss up. He wants us to mature, but he needs us to do so in a tough love life lesson kind of way. And so what we're going to be presented with is a overlap of seeing where it is that we're no longer in alignment with some of the circumstances, storylines, situations, people, places, and things that obviously we are attempting to close the door on through Saturn's transit in this Pisces energy. And in that, we are really listening to that heart space to identify where it is that we want to go from here. If we're leaving certain things behind, well, what are we building in the place of the things that are no longer alive and well for us? This is where we have to get to the heart and soul. This is where we have to stand in our truth. This is where we have to be confident in trusting ourselves enough to know where it is that we're being called in a new path, in a new direction. Lastly, we have Mars and Pluto coming together in a positive interaction. And thank goodness for us that it is a positive one, because a negative one could really push us off the edge at this particular point in time. Mars being the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our passions, our desires, even our anger. Pluto, of course, the great transformer himself, ruling over death and destruction in order for a renewal, a rebirth, a resurrection to actually take place. Pluto is retrograde in this Capricorn energy that many of us have been really trying to disconnect and detach, collapse the old foundations and structures for good. This is again illuminating for us power struggles, control issues, where it is that some pain and trauma needs to be flipped into some power and enlightenment, if you will. Having the god of war and the god of the underworld kind of do a dance in a positive way with each other definitely pulls us out of the funk. Instead of sitting in the whiny state of victimhood mentality that many of us probably found ourselves in earlier in the day when we had those difficult aspects pop up, what this does is this kind of pushes us to flip the script and make it a challenge. Instead of feeling like we're punished, instead of feeling like we're kind of being kicked while we're down, we are looking at it like a challenge. Like, when somebody tells you, I bet you can't do this, and you do it just in spite of that, this is kind of the vibe. This is kind of the energy. So now we're kind of flipping the script. We're seeing the challenge. We're seeing the obstacles, and we're rising to the occasion. We actually are kind of in the right mental mind frame, if you will, to take those challenges and obstacles and to really conjure up a new plan or a strategy on how it is that we are going to push forward. We are going to really pursue a new path, a new direction in order to actually get what we want. We are no longer willing to allow things to prevent us from getting on the path that we need to be on, reaching our fullest soul's potential and evolution, and really kind of creating a realm and a reality that gives us what it is that we desire to have in our lives. So this is kind of like the turning point, if you will, breaking free of the funk that we've been sitting in, breaking away from feeling powerless and not in control of our realm, our reality. And instead, we're taking all of the crap, all of the challenges, all of the obstacles, and we are kind of using that as motivation and inspiration to prove a point, not to anyone, but to ourselves, that we are not going to allow anything to derail this path, this plan on us bringing a new reality to life.